Hey guys, Michael from Copper vs Glass, and if you're anything like me, when you're using a PC, you're going to have a load of different applications open, whether that's photos, music, the web, YouTube, calendar, plus a ton more, and it can get a little bit much sometimes. Well, sometimes you only really want to get quick access to these little bits of information, and you don't really want them clogging up your entire screen. You may want to use that for something completely different, like playing games for example, or looking at more important information. So that's where the Google Home Hub comes in, and today we're going to be taking a full in-depth review and taking a look at all of the features and everything that you can do with the Google Home Hub. So let's take a look. But before we do, a full disclaimer, I went out and purchased this Google Home Hub myself. It wasn't sent to me from Google, and I got it on Black Friday for only £99. Now, starting off with the first thing that I actually complained about when I'd done my initial unboxing, which is linked down below, is the fact that it doesn't charge via a micro USB or USB Type-C cable. Now for me, actually after using it for around a week, it's not really that big of a problem because it's really only going to stay in one place, so you don't really need the portability of a USB-C cable, for example. So taking a tour of the device here, you've got the two microphones at the very top just here with an ambient light sensor in the middle as well, and then as you switch around to the back, you've then also got where the actual power goes in down the bottom here as well, and a physical switch for volume up and down, which is really awesome to see for that tactility. And then you can also do it on the screen using the touchscreen if you want to as well. You've got the mute switch just at the top here, so that's going to completely mute the Home Hub completely, so it's not really going to pick up anything that you don't want it to. Here you can actually see the speaker itself, and as you can see, it's not a huge speaker compared to the actual surface area that it covers, so again we'll do a sound test a bit later on in the video as well. And then on the bottom you do have a very sticky rubber pad, and believe me, once you put this thing down, it is not going anywhere. So overall, I'm a massive fan of the design. It kind of reminds me of the original Google Nexus 7 just on a stand, so if that's something you're into, then you're really going to like the design. Now as you can see here, the colour that I've gone for is the black colour, the charcoal black. You can also get a chalk white and also a coral type colour that isn't pink but is kind of pink, but again, if that's something that you're into, then that is a really nice colour to go for, and it's something a little bit different compared to the normal black or white tech that most people have in their home. And in regards to the fabric around the back, I had my Google Home Mini for a very long time and it didn't really wear out at all, and that was on the white version. So again, the black version is maybe going to wear a little bit better over time. And here we have a very quick size comparison compared to my Google Pixel 2 XL, and as you can see, it's not really that much different. Now the screen on the Google Home Hub is going to come in at 7 inches, and it's going to be 1024 by 600 in terms of resolution, which is going to give you 170 pixels per inch. So it's not necessarily the most pixel dense or high resolution display, but in terms of what you need it for, it does a really good job. Also, being an LCD, you're not really going to get the deep colors, high contrast and rich saturation of an OLED screen, but you're not really taking the Home Hub outside, so not really a problem. One thing that I didn't realise is how much you can get out of the Google Home application. Now for me, I had the Google Home Mini, you couldn't really do too much. However, with a smart display, you've got a ton more options. You can go through your history of wallpapers that you've had on the actual screen itself, and you can also go in and change the equalizer settings for more or less treble and bass, so again, you can really customise the sound profile if you need to. You've got a ton of options in the device settings as well, so again, there is a lot here to look into, but you can kind of customise it to exactly what you want. You've also got some options for the ambient screen mode in regards to your source of where you're going to get your wallpapers from, so you can have like an art gallery, your Google Photos, or for me, I've made a specific folder within Google Photos, and that's what I'm going to be using for my wallpapers. But coming from the Google Home Mini, it's really awesome to see so much customization in the Google Home app. And just quick, if you're wondering where I'm getting these really awesome wallpapers for this review, they're from an artist called Simon Stalenhag, and he does some really awesome surreal artwork, and I'm going to have his page linked down below, so if you guys want to go over and download any wallpapers that you want to, then I would definitely recommend checking them out. And also Amazon are going to be turning his artwork into a series as well on Amazon Prime, so that's definitely something to look out for. But back to the review. Now one thing that I was worried about with the Google Home Hub was the actual touchscreen experience itself. Well, I'm happy to report that the screen itself is extremely responsive, and I've not had any issues with it whatsoever. Even when I've had it in the kitchen, for example, and I've had slightly wet hands from maybe doing some dishes, it works perfectly fine, no issues whatsoever at all. So again, if you do have slightly wet hands or dirty hands, for example, that's not going to be a problem. You can still use your voice, of course, to get access to anything that you need to, but it's good to see that the actual touchscreen on the display is a really good panel. It does have some nice colours to it. As I mentioned before, it's not an AMOLED screen, but the colours themselves are quite nice, quite vibrant as well. But for me, the actual touchscreen responsiveness is what really nails it for me. Sometimes I find myself just using the actual screen itself instead of talking to it. Not sure whether that was intended or not, but that's sometimes how I like to use it. And speaking of using it, let's go over how the touchscreen works. So you've got your main front page, as you can see here, with your most recent activity on there, and you've got the weather, which is constantly there as well. And again, if you tap on it, it's going to give you a really nice animation and pretty much the next 6 to 7 days in regards to what the weather is going to be doing. You can then swipe back in from the left hand side, and that's pretty much how you're going to be getting home. Now, any activity that you have running, you can go straight back into it just by tapping on it there. So again, very simple, very easy to use. And again, a swipe back to the home screen. Now you can swipe down from the top of the display as well, and this is going to get you to your main home section, and this is where you're going to find things like smart light bulbs, any doorbells that have a camera on them, for example, Nest thermostats, and then you can also get deeper integration with any other smart speakers or Google Home applications that you may have as well. A swipe up from the bottom is basically going to get you to what I'm going to call the control panel, and here you can adjust things like the brightness, volume, do not disturb, add any alarms that you need to, and also go into the settings, which aren't really settings. Once you actually go into the what they're calling settings, all it does is bring up about this device, some open source license, and some feedback options as well, the main settings within the Google Home app that I mentioned earlier. You can then swipe across to get to your other panels like upcoming calendar events, news stories. For me, I've got my Spotify playlists here as well in regards to what I've been listening to more recently, and some YouTube recommendations. And then right at the very end, it gives you some options of things that you may want to do, and also an explore more things your assistant can do. And this takes you to a page that has everything that you need to know about the Google Home Hub, exactly what you can do, how to do it. And as you can see here from this list, there are a ton more things that you can do that aren't on the actual home screens themselves, and that's because the main reason why you're going to be using the Google Home Hub is actually talking to it, asking it math equations, conversions, how to do a recipe, for example, checking the weather, setting alarms. There are a ton of things that you can do, and they also include a really nice video that explains everything that the Google Home Hub can do as well. So again, if you are a little bit unsure, you can say, you know, what can you do, what are your features, and it will tell you, or you can watch this very simple but also quite informative video, and it's a little bit long for my liking, but you'll know exactly how to do everything once you finish watching it. One of the best features is also the ambient mode with regards to the display brightness. Now you can do it manually with 10 different levels of brightness, and it can get very bright but also very dim, but if you have the ambient EQ on, then as you can see here, once I actually turn out the lights in my office, you can see that it's going to start to dim the display right down, so when you are in those darker environments, it's not going to be blinding, for instance, if you have it on a bedside table. And it will also slightly change the white balance as well, so if you do have darker lights on it, it's going to get slightly more warmer in terms of the color profile as well. So again, it's really awesome to see those options on there. And you've also got the volume slider as well in the same control panel, again from 0 up to 10, and this thing can get reasonably loud, but again, not the loudest. But we'll go into a sound test in just a moment. But again, you do also have those tactile buttons around the back as well if you do want to do it that way, which is a little bit easier to do because there's less swiping around. You've also got the mute switch on the back as well, so once you turn that on, the mic will be turned off. There's a little indicator next to the ambient sensor at the top as well, and then again, flicking it back onto the on position, the microphone will pick up everything that you're saying. Speaking of things that you're saying, sometimes it doesn't work as you would expect it to. So I asked it to play Bring Me the Horizon on YouTube, and what it actually done was started to play an album from YouTube Music, as opposed to going to YouTube and playing videos from the band Bring Me the Horizon. So it's a little bit weird in the way that it works sometimes. You sometimes have to be a little bit more specific with what you ask it, so you may have to ask for a specific video from a band to play on YouTube. So again, it can be a little bit complicated from that perspective, but as you can see, the videos are down below, so I'm not really sure why it didn't just play a video instead of going to YouTube Music. So again, if I try it again now and actually ask it to play a specific song from a specific band on YouTube, then it's gonna go ahead and do it, and again, it does work perfectly fine. Now don't get me wrong, if you say, for example, play the latest MKBHD video or Unbox Therapy video, then it's gonna go ahead and do that straight away, but for some reason with music videos, it can get a little bit confused sometimes. So if this is primarily what you're going to be using it for, then again that's definitely something to keep in mind. But once you're in a video and playing it, it works exactly as you would expect it to. You can play pause, go backwards, forwards, scrub through to a specific time slot if you wanted to. You've got some really nice animations here as well to go to other recommended videos, and again, clicking on that next video will play it straight away. That's one thing that I really love about the Google Home Hub, is there doesn't really seem to be any delay when you're playing a video from YouTube. It does it pretty much instantly. I've not had any issues at all. As you can see here, going back and resuming the video, it does it perfectly fine, and again if I go back to my home screen, it's going to keep it just there on the right hand side. Also, being the Google Assistant, you can expect the same conversational type back and forth between you and the Google Assistant on the Home Hub. So if for instance I ask what the weather's going to be like in New York tomorrow, it's going to bring that up exactly on screen and let me see exactly what I need to. I can then ask a follow-up question with just how about San Francisco, and it knows that I'm still going to be talking about the weather. It's going to bring up the weather for San Francisco, super easy to do. So again, if I ask it another question, for instance, about Arnold Schwarzenegger, so just who is Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's then going to bring up exactly who he is, give me a little bit of information, and it's also going to recommend some other questions down the bottom that I may want to ask as well as a follow-up. So again, I can ask how old he is as well, and again it knows that I'm still talking about this specific person, so it's going to give me the age of Arnold Schwarzenegger without any problems at all. So again, if you do want to get multiple bits of information about a certain subject, this in my opinion is one of the best ways to do it. You can also really easily cast things to the Home Hub display as well, but keep in mind it is limited with some applications which it can and can't use. So as you can see here, I'm playing Avengers Infinity War from YouTube because I have it in my library because I've purchased it. However, if I want to play something from Netflix or BBC iPlayer, then at the moment, at this current moment in time, that unfortunately isn't working, but I would definitely expect to see that later on down the line, much like you would with a Chromecast plugged into a TV. Other media includes Spotify, YouTube Music, and also Google Play Music. So again, if you've got your music stored pretty much anywhere, you can get access to it straight away, but other sources like Apple Music and things may be coming later down the line. But how does the speaker actually sound? Well, now we're on to the sounds test, so let me know in the comments section exactly how you think the speaker sounds.
Dear friend, where have you been? Where have you gone? What did you win? Someone there, are you listening? Is it too late, my dear friend? We felt the sunshine, we found the gold. We thought we'd be forever young, but now I know we can't keep floating. We have to fall. This is the beat of broken hearts. Is it all lost? We can't go on again. 'Cause you seem like you want it bad. My head is spinning off the edge, and I'm giving in way too fast, way too fast.
Now, one thing that I couldn't test out was the integration with the Google Home Hub with any smart appliances. So I currently don't have any smart light bulbs or anything like that, Nest thermostat in my property, so it didn't allow me to use that functionality, but I didn't really see that as a massive problem, as I'm doing this review from the aspect of someone that doesn't really have any of that to see if the Google Home Hub is still worth it. Now, don't get me wrong, if you do have any smart appliances or just in general a smart home, then this is definitely going to be a really awesome option to be able to access all of your smart equipment in one place. You've got the screen to talk to touch. So again, really awesome to see that integration, but for me, I don't have access to that. So would I still recommend the Google Home Hub? Well, there's kind of two parts to my answer. Would I recommend the Google Home Hub? Yes, I definitely would. Would I recommend it at £149? Well, that's kind of a little bit more tricky. For me, I picked it up on Black Friday, it was £99, and for me, under £100 is kind of that sweet spot of the impulse buy. So for instance, you've got the Chromecast, which are normally by the tills, so again, once you go to checkout, you may pick one up on your way out, for example, and at £99, I kind of had the same feeling with the Google Home Hub. But if at any point you do see it on sale for $99 or under, and I definitely think that that is going to happen on a regular basis, then I would definitely pick one up over the standard Google Home, the Google Home Mini, or anything from the Amazon Alexa range. And that's going to do it, guys, for this video. Now, apologies for the length of the video. I'm pretty sure that this is going to come in over 15 minutes. So if you've made it to the end of the video, be sure to leave it a thumbs up down below. But I wanted to get as much information and my experience with the Google Home Hub in this video that I personally could. If you have made it this far and you did enjoy the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up down below. And if you've got any questions or comments, or you want me to go over anything that I didn't mention in this video, let me know in the comments section down below or on Twitter at Copper vs Glass. For more great content moving forward, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And once you've done so, turn on notifications so that you're notified anytime that I post a new video here on the channel. I'm Michael from Copper vs Glass. This has been my full in-depth review of the Google Home Hub. Thanks very much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.